Good. What's good with y'all? What's good? What's good? Chop shop. Quality control. Who's doing quality control today? Y'all let me know how I sound. Y'all let me know how I sound. What's the mic sounding like in the chat? What's good with y'all boys? Echo? Okay, let me see. All right, what we sound like now? Any better? We sound like Happy Mother's Day to all the, well, I don't know how many mothers in the audience. But okay, let me see. Third Coast, that's on you, brother. Sigamix Quality Control says no echo. That's on you, brother. Get better speakers. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody tell Third Coast get better speakers, bro. You throwing us off. What's good with y'all, man? Could somebody please explain to me like a baby? No, explain to me like a toddler that's never watched basketball, right? Explain to me like somebody that is just slow, right? Explain to me why the Houston Rockets should sign James Harden to a max contract. Like somebody just explain that to me because y'all know my stance on this, right? Y'all know my stance on the Max Harden out thing. I'm not not on that train, and definitely this game that we just saw. It's not that I was judging him off of the games, but the question I always had with the James Harden situation was, what value does he bring above the rest of the league that would make bringing him back on a max contract worth it? And you notice I keep saying max contract. I'm not somebody that's totally opposed to bringing James Harden back, but if we're talking about basketball, it makes no sense. Now, if we want to talk about let's reduce the contract, let's negotiate some things. Maybe he can come on a 2-year 80, 2-year 100. Okay, we could talk because I see the value then. But logically, y'all know me, I like to think things all the way through, not just making decisions off of emotion. I've been called a hater. I do not hate James Harden. I defended this man for over half a decade almost, right? I sat through multiple series where we just experienced the same thing that we just saw right now. And ultimately, in 2018, as we blew a lead at the halftime to the Golden State Warriors in a game 7, I made up in my mind that he's just not that guy. He's not that guy. There's a certain level that players play to, the people we call the guys, that there's a certain mentality, there's a certain aggression, there's a certain attack that these dudes really try to come at the game, especially in high leverage situations. That's what separates every NBA player from the good players, and when the stakes are even higher, that's what separates the good players from the great players. It's the ability to do what you normally do, regardless of context, right? If you're a guy that you can drop 40 on any team in a regular season, then you should be able to do that if you're a good player in a playoff game. And the great ones, they can do it game 6 closeout, game 7, fourth quarter, game on the line, et cetera, et cetera. That's how you separate. The thing about James is that there's a certain mental block that he has that stops him from overcoming that inability to perform at the highest level, and it is mental. I don't know what it is. You know how I know that it's mental? Because James's worst games aren't 2 for 30 or 4 for 30, 6 for 28, right? I would respect him more if he went out emptying the clip. Go out there, you know what I mean? You basically you're gonna go out. I you know what I mean? That's I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, and y'all could, people say all this stuff about him. He's inefficient, he makes bad decisions. One thing I would never say about Russ is that he's scared of the moment. That's the difference. To me, choking isn't going, 5 for 30, right? Choking isn't going for that means you had a bad game. Now, if you go 5 for 30 every game 7, then we might have to have a different conversation. But choking isn't going 5 for 30. I mean, hell, Kobe had a lot of games where he shot bad, but that MF was emptying the clip because they know that you cannot pass up wide open layups and kick the ball out to DeAnthony Melton and PJ Tucker to try to get you to a championship, right? That's not what you do. That's not what stars do. That's not what Mike did. That's not what Tatum was doing. That's not what LeBron does. You feel me? When the game is on the line, when the series is on the line, this is where you need guys that are those guys to step up, and James is just not that guy. I mean, looking at the box score, it's apparent. Y'all peep this. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Tell me if this sounds familiar. James Harden, closeout game. Closeout game. This is a game for all the chip to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? To go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Bro played 40 minutes, only took 11 shots. He took 11 shots. Went 3 for 11, 1 for 5 for 3. Got to the free throw line. Here's how you know James tripping. Got to the free throw line. Guess how many times? Twice. Sounds familiar? 2 times. Free throw line 2 times. 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 turnovers. 5 turnovers. Right? A minus 30. Second worst plus minus on the team. A minus 30, him and Maxey. And Maxey was the one carrying them in the first half. So I can't even put nothing on the kid. Right? Joel Embiid pissed down his legs as well. But at least he took 18 shots. Got to the free throw line only 6 times. But by the second half, Celtics already took their soul. So this is the James Harden experience. 40 in game 1. I have a thing on Twitter. I posted that. I said, if y'all don't know, there's a thing with game 1 James Harden. Like game 1 before the teams actually adjust to him. I mean, he's probably one of the best players in NBA history. But it's like a perfect negative correlation. If you guys work with charts and stuff, you know how it slopes down. That's James' play. Usually in a series, he surprised me with some of those 40-point games. So I actually bought in and gave him hope. I had hope for bro that he was going to do something, but he came up the way he did. I think it's mental. It's mental because he has like physically, dude only took 11 shots. It's mental. It's mental. There's no way you can tell me that he just loses his powers. I mean, we saw him almost lose a game to OKC in the boat. That would have ruined his career by like devastatingly. But he kept it together and make some defensive plays towards the end of that. There's nobody that could tell me about James Harden. There's nothing y'all could. I know every play. I can see them all in my head. There's these kids on Twitter that call me hater. The same brain that I used to break down videos, I've broken down James Harden's game since his whole tenure in Houston, even in OKC. I was a fan. There's nothing nobody could tell me about James Harden's game. This is why I don't want him anywhere in Houston, bro. I don't want this dude anywhere in Houston because somebody got to explain to me what is the benefit the Rockets are getting. What benefit are you getting? The only explanation I've gotten is mentorship. And hell, we can get that from George Hill, bro. Some of the greatest players in NBA history never had all NBA, all-star level mentors. You don't need that. That's a nostalgia excuse in my experience. So that's not a real reason. Some people say playoffs. I mean, it's almost there's 16 teams in the playoffs, and only one of them had James Harden. So we know it's possible that a team could make the playoffs without James Harden. So is it worth us maxing out a player and handicapping ourselves for the future? Is that worth betting on one player to get us to the playoffs? I think not. So what is what is the explanation? We need a good point guard. I mean, hell, if we don't get lucky and draft Scoot, there's a lot of guys on the market. You've seen me talk about them, right? We've talked about different players that could give you a organizer on the team. So that excuse doesn't hold water. So what is it about the James Harden thing? It's nostalgia. It's nostalgia. If you look at any team in the NBA that's in our position, that's not really ready to compete, that's not ready to really take that leap yet, even though everybody says we want to win, we want to make the playoffs. Yeah, you say that. But this Rockets team couldn't run fast breaks, right? This Rockets team couldn't fill the lanes right. They don't rotate right on defense. These are things that are bigger than a point guard. Coach Udoka has so much work to do this offseason and this coming season to even teach them to get to a level of competitiveness that allows them to become a winner, right? That allows them to become a winner. And it's going to take time. It's going to take probably this whole season. It's going to take this whole season. So my point of view from the Rockets has never been about them like making the playoffs. I don't think we're ready for that. I'd be happy we were competing for a playing spot, and that'd be great progress. But if your assessment of this team is that adding James Harden is going to help them make the playoffs, then I got to disagree with you, bro. Like to me, that's just a bad basketball take. The only way I can reconcile a James Harden led playoff team is if we trade away a couple of the core pieces to get some real players in here, because there's no world where James Harden takes the Rockets as is, even with supplemental players off the bench to the playoffs. Because in order to make the playoffs, you got to beat out other teams, right? It's not like you just, oh, yeah, we've added enough players. Now we qualify for the playoffs. That's not how it works. You actually have to be better than other teams that are working out, other teams that are competitive, that have had prior experience, that have talented players, other teams that have other players, they have young players, older players, that have a good coach that has been there for 2 or 3 years, other teams that have had continuity to the point where they're at. So if anybody is saying Harden takes us to the playoffs and that's the only way, they're capping. That's cap. That's their emotions getting the best of them. That's them looking, through some past lenses of a player that has been on a decline over the past few years, low key. No cap. James Harden has been on a decline over the past few years. If you look at all his stats, they look okay. Obviously, the scoring has went down, but you look at his attempts at the rim, the frequent foul drawing frequency, his finishing at the rim. All of those are indicators of explosiveness, indicators of athleticism decline. Usually, what you see from players phasing out, like really those rim attacks. And he's adjusted his game. And I'm not saying James wouldn't be a great player to help our guys on the court and maybe even off the court if he makes friends with some of them, like the friends he makes in some of these other teams with these younger players, right? And help them learn how to work. Because one thing you're not going to take away from that man is that he can work. You don't get to the level of success he has in his career by being lazy. So there's kind of this mischaracterization of his character. Like the dude is a worker. Like he gets it in. It's just that there's other guys that do that, and to me, the price isn't worth what you're getting. He's not known for being a mentor. You ask any young player about a vet on their team, they're going to talk about them like they're damn Michael Jordan, right? Because that's what young players see these guys, especially the Hall of Fame guys like Harden. Ask players about LeBron. Oh, LeBron, and he's the one that got him traded. So all of those clips that people show of guys from Brooklyn and Maxey talking about James, what are they going to say? Like he's a bad? No, James he's a vet and he's going to do what he got to do. But what the Rockets are trying to achieve isn't something that you can only get from a James Harden. Like I just don't get the trade-off. To me, it doesn't make sense. Once again, my stance is going to stay consistent because I never judge Harden off of his, these playoff games or his stats when he drops 40, when he plays like none of that matters. Because at the end of the day, at baseline during the regular season, you're going to get elite point guard play. And, basically he's going to just make your team better by his skill set. But I really don't care about his skill set. I don't want Harden to lead us to a play-in. And so Jalen Green can get experience. No, I don't want Jalen Green to be a Maxey. I want Jalen to be a Tatum. I want Jalen to be a Brown, right? The young gun that's carrying the team on his back. I want him to get that experience on his own merits. I put a thing that I want a CP3 to come to Houston over Harden, and if we could like get CP3 on a cheap contract, maybe pay out his last year. I think he has like a partially guaranteed like 28 or 29 million. Then his next year in 24-25 is non-guaranteed. I take him because I'm not trying to make the playoffs. I want not based off of what James Harden can do, right? I really don't care what a vet is going to come and do and drag our team to the playoffs. I want our guys to get it. And the way they get it is by being empowered and emboldened to be front and center by somebody that's willing to change, willing to take that role. right? Somebody that's willing to take that role. So I really don't care whether James Harden and some vets can come to Houston and get us to the playoffs over the play-in or playoffs over the next 2 years, because that's short term. Like, y'all are looking at this very, very like short term. You're looking at the near future. I'm looking at this 5 years from now. I want to be where the Celtics are at, where we're going to the finals, the conference finals, the semifinals every year. And the way you do that is not by bringing in a bunch of ringers to come in and get your guys there so they can be role players for some old vets, right? You bring in some guys to supplement their talent, to help them develop and learn. Some guys that help contribute to winning, but at the same time, the main thing is still the main thing. The goal is still the goal, is to get Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, Kevin Porter Jr., get these guys we've invested all the end, whoever, hell, Wemby, Scoot, Brandon Miller, Amanta, whoever the hell it is, get them to a point where they are a self-sustaining dynasty. The road has to be paved by these young bucks. What we're trying to do, when you bring James Harden back, that's a different path. And to me, if we're gonna get to the playoffs and he's gonna do what he just did, what's the point? What's the point? I'd rather Jalen Green go 3 for 30 in a first round exit than to be drugged to the playoffs by James Harden and for him to be expected and have our guys standing there like Maxey waiting for his kickouts for him to piss down his legs. I'd rather Jabari Smith go 2 for 20. I'd rather Alp get destroyed on defense so we can know, okay, this is what we need to do, da 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 da. But like this stuff about, the only world I would want him back is on a 2-year contract, maybe a third-year team option, and a damn show can't be a 4-year max. And I'd even be okay with front loading his contract. Hell, I'm going to stay consistent. Give him 50, 60 mil if you want on the first year. Right? Give him 2 years, 100 mil, 50 mil a year. Let's go. Make that third-year team option. But this 4-year max stuff, because I know that's probably what his camp is going to ask for. No parts. No parts. And if the Rockets do that, bro, if the Rockets are that like cowardice or whatever it is, scared, Stone is scared to lose his job, so he sees James as the only way to be able to not lose his job by getting somebody he thinks is going to guarantee a playoff appearance, well, then we got bigger problems, right? Because I don't see a smart GM in the NBA that's looking at Harden and being like, damn, yeah, let me give this guy $200 million. Like, I don't see it. Hell, Morey, who called them better than Michael Jordan, maybe reconsidering that. There's no way Daryl Morey is going to say that basically you have the world is yours, James Harden. You tell us how much you want, and you can have it. If they have a brain trust at Philly, they're probably like, damn, bro, we got some answers. We got some questions we need to answer. We got some questions we need to answer. I'm not giving that guy a 4-year, $200 million max. The Philly fans are about to flame him. Oh, y'all don't know about Philly? Philly, Boston, and New York, their fan bases and their local sports radios, media coverage, sports media coverage, different. They are about to destroy this man. They are about to destroy this man, bro. Because one thing about Houston, we're friendly, right? Houston fans are friendly. The sports media is toothless, not really a lot of. It's kind of friendly. Yeah, it's friendly. Let's call it what it is. The Houston sports media is really kind of cozy, right? Stars, you can come here. That's one of the appeals. You come here. There's no world outside of Houston and smaller markets, because we got a small market media, that James Harden could do all, like, perform the way he did over the years and survive and be there comfortably, and then do what he did, how he exited here, and still have a chance to come back. They might have got him out after the Spurs series if he was in New York or Boston or Philly, bro. That's how bad it is. Yeah, they might have got him out already. He wouldn't have even had a chance to pair up with Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. Like they would have got him out. They would have got him out. It would have been so untenable for him to be there. Like, so all right. we are one of the few markets that'll somehow champion his return, and some people don't care if he gets a max. So we're pretty chill. But at the end of the day, one thing that I know, even while he was here, social media has a lot of people that make you think a certain way. In the streets of Houston, boys was not messing with James Harden. I'm not gonna lie. In the streets of Houston, in barbershops, at the bank, when you in the store, when you talking to the guy at the, at the Walmart, you at the gas station, they been stopped rocking with James Harden. There's a bunch of like younger fans on the internet that, just like I was with Steve Francis. I was a big fan. I love Steve Francis. Like Steve Francis is my guy. Like I don't care. I didn't care about his stats. You can tell me he was inefficient, so I don't care, bro. That's Steve Francis. He gave us relevance when we were irrelevant, right? And that little gap took us to the dunk contest with him. You know what I mean? Him and Coutinho, those are my guys. And I'm sure that there's a certain age group of fans that have that with James Harden, and there's a certain age group of fans that have that with Kevin Porter Jr. Because you got to imagine when you're in a low place and a guy comes in, you know what I mean, that brings you excitement for a certain age group. It does kind of create a bond. And James Harden has a bond with a certain age group of fans, not with me, bro. Like, because I'm a Rockets fan. I'm not a James Harden fan. I'm a Rockets fan. I am a James Harden fan, but I'm a Rockets fan first. For all the players that have come through and put on the jersey that has Houston on it, it's always the Houston first. It's always the Houston first. Players going to come and go. That city is always first. So as somebody that's looking out for our city, I don't want them. I don't want him. I don't want him. And if they're saying basically it's going to happen, I'm curious to see if it does happen. If it does happen, what are the terms going to be? Because if it's a max, I have no faith in our front office. I have no faith in our like. If you're going to max after you saw that, then you're just basically like saying, "Please help us. We need help." So I don't know, Rafael Stone, Patrick Fertitta, till anybody that's if somehow some way this reaches out to some, don't do it, man. 2 years, 3 years, we can talk. We have leverage. We have leverage, so we have to maximize on that leverage. You know what I mean? This is the time to show your chops. And for the argument that oh well he's the only good player we can get, Cap. We said the same thing about the coaching, right? Oh, the Rockets, we're trash. I've even said some of that. Like, bro, it's gonna be hard for us to get a coach. We got Ime Udoka. So that tells me that the market is still lovely. So people are gonna come. Pause. You know what I mean? Guys are gonna want to come down to Houston. And we shouldn't be really worried about, oh man, James is the only player that's ever gonna come here. Nah, bro, that's cap. People still want to come down to Houston. People still want to come down to Houston, man. It's still Houston. At the end of the day, it's still Houston. Hell, Harden wants to come back to Houston. So there's other players that would love to be in the city. I don't want to pay him $50 million. I don't want to pay him $50 million 3 years from now. And the scenario that keeps playing back in my head over and over and over and over and over again, the scenario that keeps popping up is you give him a 4-year max. Cool. Next year, playing team. Cool. The year after that, maybe an eight seed, 7 seed, first round exit. Cool. That's what 2 years from now is going to be Jalen Green's 5th year. So you got 5th year Jalen Green, 5th year Alperen Sengun, 4th year Jabari, 4th year Tari Eason. If Kevin Porter is still here, he's going to be damn near in the 7th year. You got Wemby, Scoot, one of these kids, 3rd year. You got a 3rd seed in the West. There's a juggernaut, OKC, right there, right? You got Memphis right there, if Josh's still around. You got these young gun teams like us that's up there, in contendership. And we got a $50 million player that can't play in the playoffs. We can't compete with that, bro. You cannot compete with that. And people are like, well, that's not a big deal. I take that. No, because in this NBA, you never know when your window is open. You never know when everybody gets hurt on your path to get into the finals. You never know when you get your shot in your fifth year as a star, like Jason Tatum just did last year. You never know when that window is going to be open. And I'd rather have $50 million to go sign a player or bring in a player into my team that can help me win a ring when my guys are ready. Because also going on in that fifth year, fourth year, are going to be the last years you're going to have these guys on rookie contracts. Right? Y'all know the whole thing with the NFL tries to do with the teams. You get a good quarterback. If he's good and can take you to a championship, you build a championship defense around them while that quarterback is still on a rookie contract. Because if you don't do that, when they get paid, it's really hard to build a team around them. So that's what the approach I'm looking like is like. I'd rather use that $50 million to bring in a wing or somebody that's gonna a big man, somebody that's gonna solidify what these young bucks got. So that's the scenario that keeps playing back in my head over and over. Like, damn, if we are at the end of the day, we're gonna rely on Jalen Green and Jabari and Şengün and Tari to really lead us in the playoffs, then why the hell am I paying James Harden $50 million? Why am I paying him $50 million to just what? To piss down his legs in a game? You think he's gonna be better at doing this? What, 3 years from now? You think his shot is gonna be better or his rim attempts are gonna be better 3 years from now? Right? You think that contract won't look like John Walls did or Russell Westbrook or any of these albatross contracts that we see from players that were once great? You know what I mean? So that's just what keeps playing. I don't want any parts of the James Harden sweepstakes for the max. Let Philly max him out if they want. If he is desperate to come down to Houston, then we could work with him. Because once again, I'm not like just like, oh, like we can't have, like if he's a free agent, he's gonna be the best guard in the free agent market. Let's not cap. But at the end of the day, just because somebody's the best guard or best player doesn't mean you just go get him and give him everything. Especially when you're trying to build a team. You could do, you have multiple paths in this, but at the end of the day, I don't really even want to touch the James Harden max thing with a 10-foot pole. Not after that. Not after what I've seen from him over the past few years. He's not going back, guys. Harden dropping 50 points, 40 points. He can do that once in a blue moon. He can do that once in a blue moon. He's a great player. This dude is a Hall of Famer. He's a top 75 guy. That's why when people was going crazy, oh, he dropped 45. Bro, he can do that. The difference between like when a great player down phases and they start kind of going out of their prime, they get up once in a blue for a series, they can get up for a game. They can get up because that's in their DNA to do. But to ask for them to do that on a consistent basis, he's not going back. Seeing the same thing with LeBron James. LeBron is not the same anymore. That series against the Warriors, if that was 3 years ago, yeah, that would have been a five game series. LeBron is not the same, but he can always turn it up for one game. One game. The great ones can always show up. The difference with Harden is that he'll turn up in game one, where LeBron turns it on for a closeout game. That's the difference. That's the difference. That's the difference. And people could talk about Chris Paul. Chris Paul, his thing has been injury, and that's a whole separate matter. But as far as being a dog, my man ain't never been scared, bro. I don't care what they stats is. Russ, never scared. Bro, drop 50 inefficiently. I'm not going to be mad at you. At least you fought. Because I don't want PJ Tucker taking the shots that's going to send my team to the finals, bro. I don't want to rely on DeAnthony Melton or George Niang or whoever the players are on there, bro, to take me to the finals. That's not who I'm going to rely on. Live and die by your stars. That's how it happens, bro. That's how it happened. That's how it happens. Steph, same thing. Live and die by your stars. Giannis, same thing. If you're going to go out 0 for 50. At least live with yourself, right? Live with yourself after and say, damn, I got to get better at shooting, but not even trying, bro. Like, this man took 11 shots, man, in the closeout game. This man took 11 shots. This man took 11 shots, went to the free throw line 2 times, bro. That free throw stat is the most glaring to me. Like, that's the most glaring. That's the most glaring. Yeah, Doc Rivers is a terrible coach. You know that game really swung when they started attacking Joel Embiid. They started attacking Joel Embiid, switching. He's switching Joel Embiid on Tatum, and Tatum proceeded to drop like 30 straight points. And instead of adjusting to it, he waited till the game was 20 some points out of hand before they started bringing the late trap or the late double. So, once again, just to show you guys, like, a big man is a big man is a big man. Like, the rim protection is there, but it's only in context of a defense. Like, if a team wants to hunt you, they're going to hunt you. And this is going to take me to my Şengün point. All that talk about Şengün needed to be like Hakeem or some. You don't, bro. It's your defense. Roster flexibility. Hey, Şengün, you're being hunted by blah, blah, blah. You're going to sit. Jabari, you're playing the 5. That's it. Right? You're our MVP for the season. Jabari, you're playing the 5. Or Şengün, we're going to trap him with you and whoever the guard is. That's it. So y'all, I'm glad y'all got to see this in real time. For all these people that are having orgasms about defensive bigs, it's a team. Defense is a team concept. It's a team concept. No matter how good you are defensively, they were hunting Anthony Davis. He held up when it counted, but they were hunting him. Big men are going to get hunted. But your team has to protect that big because, especially when they bring other things to the table. Now, obviously, the difference between AD and all the other players is that they're elite rim deterrents. The point is that a team build is always more important in the playoffs than anything else. Having roster flexibility, ability to see a player getting harassed and saying, you know what, all right, bro, we're gonna move you here. You're gonna come in for this, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Okay, Vando, you're going to play some 5. No, LeBron, you're going to play some 5. Okay, we're going to do some lineups where AD is the only big on the floor with some shooters. Like, having the flexibility to be able to do stuff like that, that's what really matters in building your team out incredibly well. You know what I mean? So that is really what it came down to. And Doc Rivers, like, I don't know what he was on, bro. I think he's literally trying to get fired. Like, I think he wants to get fired. But I mean, look at the Celtics. I mean, the Philly just trash, bro. Like, Tyrese Maxey 17 points, Tobias Harris 19 points, Joel Embiid 15 points in the closeout game, James Harden 9 points. 9 points in a closeout game to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. 9 points in the closeout game to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's check out the Celtics. Jason Tatum, 51 points. Goon. Jaylen Brown, 25 points. Goon. Al Horford only had 6 points, but had Embiid in hell. In hell. Couldn't do anything. Malcolm Brogdon off the bench, 12 points. Off the bench, scored more points than James Harden. My God. That boy off the bench scored more points than James Harden. That is crazy. Between the two best players on the Celtics, between their two best players, they took, let me see, 28 shots and 19 shots. They took 47 shots between the two best players for the Celtics. That's what's up, bro. That's how you do it. Let's check out Philly. Between their two best players, they took 29 shots. Between Harden and Embiid. 47 versus 29. 29 shots. Jason Tatum by himself took 28 shots. Jason Tatum by himself took 28 shots to the combined shot total of 29. So Harden and Embiid together in the closeout game to go to the Eastern Conference Finals only took one more shot than Jason Tatum. Some guys just built for the moment, bro. I don't want that, but I don't want it, man. I don't want it. I don't know what he's going to tell Jalen Green, bro. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to get you to the playoffs, and once you get there, bro, you got it. You on your own. Why the hell am I paying him then? If I'm gonna pay a guy 50, he better hell, that better be somebody that's a championship check, man. We better be like all in, like we trying to win a chip. I'm not giving a guy 50 over 4 years just for mentorship. Hell nah. If I'm gonna still have to rely on my young guys to do it when it matters in the end, if he's not gonna even give us a shot when we do get in the playoffs, hell nah, man. Nah. I'll give that money to Pat Bev, bro. Break that up over Pat Bev, over, you know what I mean? Brooke Lopez, get some guys, break that 50 up, 20, 20, 10. Give me 3 guys that I can be done with in about 2 or 3 years. Pause. You know what I mean? Give me those guys. You know what I mean? We can make something out of that. Then when my guys is ready, I'm going to kick them the money. Then bring in another stud to come and add to the core. Let's do that. Let's do that instead. Because if I'm relying on Jalen Green to do it, then why am I paying a guy just to get me there? Like what are we doing? Over the next few days, and you know what I mean, over the next few days, Kelly Iko already dropped this article. You're going to see a lot of buzz from Rockets, from Harden's camp, swooning over each other. You're going to see a lot of buzz about people basically revising what we just saw. A lot of guys are going to be pulling stats from the regular season about how James Harden led the league in assists, which he did. But we'll leave out the fact that he passed to Joel Embiid more than any other player passed to another player in the NBA. Joel Embiid was a big chunk of those assists. Who's going to be Joel Embiid on the Rockets? It's easy to feed people when you're giving the ball to a stud, right? Who's Joel Embiid on the Rockets? Who's going to generate that much pressure for the defense? Who's going to be the guy? Got to think about that when you're making your evaluation. The context we've evaluated James Harden has been Nets next to Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and Philly next to a guy that could have been a multiple-time MVP in Joel Embiid, and a veteran-laden team. Who's going to be that guy? Because now what's going to happen when he comes to Houston is that he's going to be that guy. James is. And that's a player that I haven't seen in about 3 years. That's a guy I haven't seen in 3 years. Not on a consistent basis. Not over a 5-game stretch. Right? We're not even talking about the injuries. Achilles, lower leg injuries, the soft tissue injuries, been piling up over the years. We're not even talking about that. We haven't even got there yet. That's the guy that we're going to give $200 million to. No, I don't think so. I hope Rafael Stone kind of reimagine what this season is going to look like after he is signed. They signed Ime Udoka, because to me that changes everything, right? You have a coach. That's the most important part. You have a coach. Honestly, for the sake of Ime, I want him to have the ability to build his own structure and culture from scratch, so he doesn't have to rely on pressures to get Harden the ball, or you have to do this and this year. To me, it throws off the groove of everything, man. Just let these guys develop. Bring in players that would uphold them in the forefront while supporting them, not players that are going to take away from them, even though they're still helping them. There's a difference in bringing in a guy to be a vet, to put our guys in front and let them learn to be NBA professionals, to be winners in the league, learn how to be, do the right thing on and off the court, learn how to close out these games, learn how to do all those things, right? And letting them get the full experience of having the burden of shouldering an NBA team on a night to night basis. And there's another difference in when you bring in a guy that's gonna basically be your offensive universe that everybody is gonna go around. Now, there's some players that's gonna be beneficial for. Guy like Jabari, yeah, that's money, right? But we have such a unique mix of talent that to me, like, it would have to be almost like you have to part ways with some guys, right? To bring in enough vets to make it make sense. You'd have to part ways. That's the only way I see it. That's the only way I see it. Like you can't just say, oh yeah, we're gonna compete with this core and James Harden. Like we're not that good. We're not that good. There's so much going on in the NBA. And if anything hasn't taught you anything, I mean, they fired Monty Williams. He was literally the feel good story of the NBA just like last year or the year before that. They fired him. Suns are talking about moving Aiden and Chris Paul. Who knows what's going to happen with the Warriors? Milwaukee fired their coach. Who knows what happened with that team? New York is on the fringe. Who knows? The NBA, I keep telling y'all, man, it's ever changing. You can't get set into one mind frame. The most valuable thing the Rockets have right now is flexibility. And to me, don't ruin that. Do not ruin flexibility by trying to rush something that's not ready. You let the natural progression happen. There's signs of a team that's ready to make that jump, and we haven't shown it yet. To me, I believe that this coming season, they're going to show the prerequisite signs to compete, to contend for a play-in playoff spot. You're going to see the blip, be like, damn, okay, they ready. You're going to see that run. It might be in the second half of the season. We saw a little glimpse of it, but they just couldn't get there. You're going to see that run this season to show them they're ready. Then bang, you're going to see in 24-25. Y'all trust me, 24-25, that's the year. That's the year where it's all going to come together. This year is going to be a up and down year that we have coming up because the guys got to learn what Coach Udoka likes. They got to learn the offense, the defensive schemes, where to be. They got to learn his personality, how he expects it. There's going to be some abrasive stages to this. Guys are going to be unhappy. People are going to be mad. The fan base is going to be mad. All of that. There's going to be ups and downs throughout this process. That's going to happen this coming year. This year that we're about to have is like I keep using. I got to look this up. I forgot what is it called? It's a theory of change or whatever it is. It's probably something real generic. I got to look it up. It's like storming and norming phases. I think it's like the stages of a change. Before you can make a change, there's going to be a storming phase where everybody gets adjusted to new roles, new expectations. This season is going to be storming. It might take half a season, it might take the whole season. And that 24-25 season, that's when it's all going to click. Everything's going to come together. So I think that Tillman needs to be patient. Patrick needs to be patient. Stone needs to be patient. And just let the rebuild keep doing what it's doing. Like let it keep building up the steam. You never know who's going to be open. Well, you got that cap space. Use that money wisely, right? Keep that flexibility. Sign guys on short contracts, 2-year contracts. Give a vet that wants to be a vet. Give him a 2-year contract. Oh, this guy's available. Oh, Jaylen Brown does one out. Oh, this Mikal Bridges. Oh, this player, that player. You don't know. John Moran is open and we can rehabilitate him. Oh, SGA. Oh yeah, we got Pat Bev on a $20-some million contract. We got this player on a 20. Oh yeah, we'll trade him. Bang, bang, bang. Let's do this. Or yeah, we got free agency. These dudes are all expiring. Let them expire. We open this summer. We ready to sign that piece to help us contend. That should be the goal. That should be the goal. Flexibility. You can thread this needle of trying to be competitive by supplementing with lower tier vets, and then also threading the needle of development by letting your young guys be the kind of the key catalyst to us getting to that winning stage. And as those things are happening together, you're going to be progressing because naturally the players are going to have internal development. They're going to develop just by being in the NBA. Guys are going to show out, get better, etc. This not even counting who we're about to draft, right? In 2 days, we're going to find out who we're about to draft. Do we need the draft to get to the championship? I honestly don't think so. But hell, depending on if we get one or two, that'll solidify some things. But the draft coming up is going to be important. So that also would also give you some insight as to what you do. But I do not, once again, I do not want a maximize or give James Harden the max. It would be just the dumbest thing ever. Like I can't imagine just team GMs looking like, oh yeah, let me throw 200 million at this guy. 200 million. You know what? I was Sigamigs. I was worried about the draft, but I'm not anymore. I really, you know, what I mean, you just make it do what it do, right? You get the players you get, and you make it work. I keep looking at these playoffs, and you know, what I mean, it's not just a bunch of number one picks all leading their teams to victory, right? Jimmy Butler, best player on their team, right? You know, what I mean, not a number one pick. I don't think he was in the lottery. Jokic, not a number one pick. You know, Tatum was a number 3 pick. LeBron obviously was a number 1. I think AD was like 1 or 2. But, you know what I mean? The guys that were just finishing out this round, the Jalen Brunsons of the world, the Steph Currys of the world, these guys weren't number 1 picks. Like, if you're a good team, just draft and develop your guys and just live with the results. So we'll take whatever we can get. We can take all the good vibes. We can take all the good vibes. But, you know, I just wanted to get that out there, man. I've been consistent with my stance. Y'all can't say I've wish it washed. I'm not the guy that's James dropped 45, bring him back to Houston. Nah, bro, that's short sighted. Oh, he had 2 points. No, I'm still the same. I don't care if he scored 100 points. Either that man takes a short contract or I don't want him at all. I don't want him at all. So with that said, I'm going to end this part. Let's go over to the chat. I'm going to drop the link if anybody wants to come up and talk. Let me put the link in the chat. And we could talk about this. If you want to defend James Harden, yeah, I mean, come up. Just make sure your audio is good. But let me look at the chat. I can't go too far up. I'm gonna just start randomly here. Okay, Lee said we could bring in Reeves, Struss, Grant Williams, Bruce Brown, Bev, Nas Reed to help the core instead of blowing it all on Harden. That's facts, bro. A lot of good players out there. Looks like we got Kurt on. What up, Kurt? Hold on, I'm not hearing you, brother. Let me see if my audio is good. Give me a second. Can y'all hear Kurt and I can't?
You hear me or no?
Oh, okay. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, what's good? What are your thoughts? You said Max Harden. Is that what you said? You there, Kurt? Okay, Kurt Tripp. I got me like a radio show here. Okay, let me bring on somebody. I'm gonna get Kurt. Fix your apparatus and come back to me, brother. B Simpson, what's good, bro? We got Austin T. What's good, Austin?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Chilling. Let me get y'all right. Let me.
What do, chop chop?
B, let's let Austin go first since you a regular, bro. Austin, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just super disappointed in James, man. I had literally gone to my storage unit, got my old James Harden jersey back out after Game 4, and I was getting ready to rep it again. But just for him to let me down like that, or let all of us down like that, really hurts, man. I was trying to burn the jersey actually earlier, but it was too wet outside. I got a fire pit in my backyard, and all my wood's too wet, so I couldn't even light it on fire, man. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll hold on a little longer, right? But no, I mean, I think it's just, I don't like to get like too X and O's on it, but like Kobe called this shit out a long time ago when he talked about, just like the pick and roll offense and shit like that in the playoffs. Like it's too predictable. Everyone's watching the ball. And that's what I saw tonight. I saw everybody watching the ball handler way too much. And that's what I think James always falls into that trap because he can't really change his game. He never has. He used to play a little bit more off ball in his younger days, obviously, right? And he was pretty good at it. But we just haven't seen that kind of willingness to adapt. he's on the borderline brink of insanity, trying the same things in the playoffs every year, right? And if you can't get a pick and roll offense done with Joel Embiid, the MVP on your squad, it's never going to work in the future ever. We already said this about Dwight Howard. We thought that was a good enough player, and now we had this. Now we got Joel this year, right? So I think that part of his game is cooked. Like if he can't reinvent himself into a different style player, then he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna garnish much value in the league from here on out. His age, his soft tissue injuries. I don't think he's going to. I don't know if he's going to command the max, knowing that he just kind of shit the bed right now. But just overall, just disappointed. I don't think that Doc can really make any adjustments because of that either. Right? He's super limited in what he could have done. We know that Doc's got a long track record of not doing so well in the game sevens that he's been in, but I feel like he was even more handcuffed with James the way he is. And, that kind of goes back to Daryl Morey. And because of that, I think Tillman might want to put some butts in seats this year, but I don't think that that Stone's going to want to follow this guy, follow his mentor's strategy in putting all of his eggs in one basket behind James. I don't think Stone's way too smart to do some shit like that to me, and unless he's getting some kind of intrinsic value over it, or he's in the money on the contract front loaded, and he has cap flexibility, like you said, maybe a year or two down the road. But I'm with you, man. I don't want this man near my team. I don't want this man's work ethic near any of our young players. I mean, shit. When we played the Timberwolves a few years ago, when we just killed them, right? I remember that like one of the nights after we eliminated them, I actually saw James at the bar, and he was sitting there like smoking hookah. Like I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal, but it's like it's not a big deal smoking hookah. I get it.
Was that the series where he had like a good first game, then got worse over the series?
I think so. It was like that, and then I think like the final game or the game before the final game, we put 50 points in a quarter. It was that year. We just absolutely destroyed them in the and then we played obviously Utah Jazz the next round. But anyways, the point is like I used to be a professional tennis player, bro. Like you don't do that kind of shit if you're a professional athlete. You don't. No. I don't care if you're smoking a fucking like vape, dude. Like you just don't put anything in your body that's gonna ruin the product on the court, on the field. Like JJ Watt always says, right? It's you treat your body as a freaking as a damn airplane, as a jet, right? And that's what you got to put on and produce every week. So. I didn't see that kind of, I guess, professionalism. I didn't see the heart that I mean, I've always had this kind of James Harden's the most wishy-washy kind of controversial player, I think, in history. Maybe I'm biased because, we're all Houston fans, but I literally busted out my jersey. I brought it out of storage. Like I was ready to get back on track. I thought he reinvented himself, just his willingness to pass the ball, not dribble as much. I'm like, that's the kind of James Harden we wanted. Right? Cut the dribbles in half, start facilitating the offense. But the problem is, today Boston threw out a double big lineup really early in the game. Took forever for them to do that. And because of that, James should have been more aggressive tonight than any other night. And he wasn't. He should have been going one-on-one with Al and one-on-one with Robert Williams, right? Robert Williams.
Yeah, but the thing with him is that his ISO game is not like it's been declining over the years, like really rapidly. I think the whole everybody was cheering him about passing. I think he was doing it out of necessity a lot of the times. It's not, I don't think he like, because when he's in his groove, he's scoring. And I just don't, I've seen enough to know that some of those nights, like tonight, the way the Celtics were playing the pick and rolls, basically just going under and just daring him to like attack, and he couldn't. Right? Usually they try to trap it, then they'll get into their short roll with Embiid, or he was really playing off Embiid, but they were switching it and going under on the switches and saying, "Bro, you either going to pass it to Embiid, or we're going to just force you to ISO." And he would get downhill, and there were some layups that he had like wide open, and he'd kick it out, like doing the Ben Simmons thing. Mm-hmm. Just crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they should have got Tyrese more involved, I thought. Like, I just kind of saw Tyrese just sitting there looking for the ball in the corner or on the wing. And he wasn't even in a full like catch and shoot stance. Like he wasn't even expecting the ball. I don't know if you saw that too, but I just kind of noticed that.
That's why I said I don't want Jalen Green to be Tyrese Maxey. Like,
exactly. Exactly. That was a good point you made.
If that's the Harden mentorship model where your players are all just waiting for passes, then getting let's not do that.
You're not going to make those shots if you don't got the ball in your hand. It's like a little. If you're playing a typical pickup game at Lifetime Fitness, you're not going to be able to shoot well if you're barely touching the ball. Just how it is.
Nah, appreciate you, bro. Let me get B.
Thanks,
then we're gonna go to no problem. Shout out to you for. Were you good at tennis, bro? You say you're a professional. Any good? Any? Did you play?
Oh, this is a long time ago. I was number one in Texas at one point. I used to play internationally, but you're not gonna catch me. You're not gonna catch me smoking hookah while I'm in the thick of my career like that.
Okay.
Though.
Appreciate you, dog. You can stick around if you want.
Yeah, I'll stay in here. I'll mute.
Yeah, Brandon, what's good, bro? Then we'll go to your boy BJ Bills. What up, B? You there?
Hey, what's up, Frank? What's up, man?
What's good with you, bro? What you thought, man? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, my thoughts are. Again, we all know. James is James, right? I was really hoping to rooting for him, not just because I'm a Harden stan or nothing, because I'm really not. But I really was rooting for him because all these people just keep talking about him. But it's understandable. But as far as bringing him back in for us, I'm still on board with that. Just because for a 3 or 4 year window, you could have him getting our young guys the experience. We don't need Harden necessarily just taking over and having the ball in his hand the whole time when it really matters. I think that would be the time for our young guys to shine, to really get that clutch. See who's got the clutch gene. Is it Jabari? Is it Green? But the only way that we'll ever find out is by actually getting to the playoffs. So in that essence, I think he is the player to get us to the playoffs consistently every year. The ability to put us in a situation to at least get the young guys experience. And then after that, once that 3 year window's over, he can go. You can either trade him or whatever the case may be, let his contract run up, and, go from there. At least you see more of what you got. You know exactly who the players are, who has the clutch gene, who doesn't, who can perform in the clutch, who can't. And I think he gets that opportunity.
Let me ask you this, B.
Go ahead.
It's 2 questions. Question number 1. Is James Harden the only player in the NBA that could do what you just described? And number 2, is that role worth a 4-year, $200 million contract?
Okay, to answer the first one, no, he's not the only player, but he would be the only player that would come in as a free agent for us. That we're not actually giving up players to get a player of that caliber. So that's why I'm on board with James, just because it would be a free agent signing. Now, if we got to give up stuff, no, of course not. I'm not on board with that.
And what do you envision that thing he's doing for us? What is that? Is this just getting to the playoffs? Is that like, is you saying he's one of the few free agents that we can sign and say, we're going to make the playoffs, like guaranteed?
Yeah, who else as a free agent would come here that's a top 25, top 30 type of player? I don't see anybody else just coming here as a free agent like that. That's that caliber of player. And of course, I would want more out of it. We would like to get to the Western Conference Finals at least, to really get that experience, to really get that pressure and that heat on the young guys to perform under that pressure. I just don't see anybody else as a free agent that would come here and be that caliber of player to be able to get us to the playoffs consistently.
Let me ask this. Now, we've signed Coach Udoka, so we know he's respected around the NBA. And are you looking at it? You don't see any free agents this year. Do you think there's a world where maybe Coach Udoka turns the team around and we become respectable in the NBA and we're playing the right way and our guys just naturally flash like, oh yeah, this team got some talent? Do you think in 2024-25 offseason that maybe there's some better free agents that are younger that may fit our timeline better, that better serves our money? Because once again, like, I think everybody is like acting like, and rightfully because of the OKC pick, but the pick is important, but it's like you have to weigh the long and the short term thing. And that's really where I'm coming from, is like, it's not just now. There's still time. You feel me? If that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm only talking about a 3-4 year a window with Harden. You're not going to sign him to no 5.
Would you max him?
Would I max
in that 4-year window? $50 million?
Man, I wouldn't want to. I would hopefully he would come and take, give you that team discount. But would I, man? I think I probably would. Yeah, I think I probably would.
I can't, man. That's just too much money for him for me. But I respect it. I respect it, and I respect that you explained your position. And I know yours isn't nostalgia. And what was it? What was it? I told you I publicly apologize. I was
I
firing up
would say
Brandon
it's
for.
nostalgia, but again, I just don't
I
see
was
another
fire,
player
I
coming
was
in.
firing up B for last pod, messing with him about his Harden. He's been consistent, so he checked me on it. So shout out to B Simpson. He's been the same story the whole time. So you have not flip flopped. You know, I was confused last time, but nah, shout out to you, bro. I
No, it's
appreciate
all good. It's all good.
that. Yeah, I appreciate the thing. I'm not mad at that, but I just can't do it for the reasons that I've said, bro. It's like, okay, getting us to the playoffs is one thing. I mean, to me, you could do that with an aggregate of players rather than just one player. That's my view. Okay, I don't. You can still get into a plan by bringing some good, not James Harden vets and just your guys' natural development. That's one.
No,
To me, the other part of it is just is it worth me paying a guy to be like training wheels for Jalen Green? You know what I mean? When if I have to rely on Jalen Green regardless at the end of the day, what does that look like? And is Harden willing to really accept that role? Because that's a very specific role to be in. To that means he has to be okay with that the bumps and bruises that comes with having a young team kind of be. That's why I said a vet is there's a difference between having a player that's going to be a vet on a young team as a vet, quote unquote, or a player that's just really good that's a veteran. And I don't know if James is ready to be a vet, quote unquote, for these guys. I think he's going to come as a veteran player that's good. And I think if we make it to the playoffs, it'll be based on his abilities and whoever else is here with the young guys chipping in what they do. And if the time comes, it's not going to be like, okay, I've played elite basketball all season. Now, Jalen Green, it's your turn to carry us. I don't think it's going to work like that. We're still going to say, James, get us there. And just from what I've seen over the years, he's just not that guy. Like, that's not his makeup. And I really just don't. I don't know what he's going to tell Jalen about the playoffs. Like, I need at least give me a former somebody that's like, yeah, they've been there, done that. Like,
well,
I would think that's the type of big move.
another thing is like I mean, again, you wouldn't want to pay for this, but I mean, at least Jalen would see what not to do. I mean, you'd also
That's
you don't want to
Oh
pay
my
200 million
God.
to see what not to do, but
don't be like. That's a good. That's a good one. All right,
But
B, stick around, B. Stick
what about
around, B. Let me
real
get. Let
quick?
me
What
go.
about
Go ahead.
we
Go
didn't
ahead.
mention the other free agents in 2024. I haven't really looked them up. What other free agents are out there that
I
follow the
think
team?
I just know Jalen Brown. I think that class is really good. I'm gonna pull it up while BJ Bill's getting his takeoff. Then we'll talk about it on the go round. Okay.
What's going
Go
on?
ahead, BJ. What's good with you, bro?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You good?
I appreciate it, Frank, for having me on the show. I appreciate
Nah,
it.
no problem.
No, I don't want to come on here and sound like a hard apologist or anything, but I kind of want to dive into some psychological things that I've kind of seen being a fan of this man for so long. And one thing is that we don't give him a lot of credit for, switching his role. And I think the way Joel plays, it interferes with the way James play. And I don't think a lot of people talk. And I think it's something that they that is it's known in the team, but like the narrative is not really said like that. Like he's literally James literally sacrificed his whole game because the way James play, he needs that lane. And Joel Embiid is not a roll bent man. He doesn't roll all the way to the basket. He rolls around that circle area or the free throw line. He doesn't roll all the way. He rolls for him. He doesn't roll for the guard. You know what I mean? And I think the thing that Doc failed at was trying to focus completely on one player rather than trying to integrate two play styles. And it kind of really, as we saw today, kind of like made it one dimensional, if that was to say. And it's unfortunate to see that he kind of flamed out. But I think for the most part, he was like, I'm gonna just play the way coach told me to play, and if we don't win, it's on coach. You know what I mean? We seen him, only shoot 9 times, 11 times on some of the other game sevens or whatnot. But this one felt like he was just like, I'm trying to play like how you want me to play. You know what I mean? I'm fitting the role that you want me to fill. And like I said, I'm not trying to sound like a James Harden apologist, but I really felt like he can do way more than what he's shown. And these last few teams, even at the Nets, he was doing the same thing as far as like trying to change the narrative over his name, like trying to whatever. But all in all, like as far as in regards to him coming back to Houston, I'm kind of torn a little bit, you know, because I do see both sides. I do understand like how important these picks are for OKC. And then I also realize that we have a lot of young talent that we can kind of like develop and nurture them and kind of see them kind of grow up just like the Kings did. You know what I mean? Like let them kind of you know but I really do think like there's some value in James Harden come back to Houston as well. Also on the other side, because I believe he can facilitate getting us in our offense or whatever. Because that's the biggest thing that I saw KPJ not really do well for us. But I mean that's kind of where I stand on a lot of the things that we have going on. And I mean today was very disappointing. You know what I mean? Like I said, big James Harden fan, obviously from Houston and whatnot, but you know. It's what to expect.
Hey, Frank, can I point something out real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was wondering what I think I forgot. Sorry, what's BS's name? Sorry, it's my first time in here. But he mentioned
Brandon.
he mentioned Brandon. Yeah, he just mentioned like the experience that James could bring. I'm just wondering what y'all think in terms of like Ime's Udoka's like projected offensive scheme. Like if you look at the Nuggets, like they don't have a true point guard on their floor either. I'm just wondering why we can't emulate the same thing with Sengun. Like I don't think we need a ball dominant guard that's going to get us into our offense. When the Nuggets clearly don't need that and haven't had it for years, and they've been just fine. So just with that context, I was wondering what y'all think behind like the Harden situation.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna bring up Frank's video. Frank's video.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
The Warriors, about how when Steve Kerr came in, he utilized Draymond and really ran the offense through Draymond. Let's see if Ime is going to try the same thing with Sengun. I don't know. I mean, you could run the offense through Sengun most of the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna. And the last live stream we did last Sunday was one me talking about Ime Udoka's offensive. Well, what they ran in Boston. I know Will Weaver was there as well, but basically they didn't have a point guard. I mean, I think Brogdon is the closest thing they've had to a point guard. They've really, really looked at combo guards, whether it was with Kemba or with Kyrie over the years, because their offense is just a drive and kick. Really, it's drive and kick. They're going to set a lot of screens. And try to hunt mismatches and try to get feet in the paint. And once you get feet in the paint, it's just kicking out and keep doing it over and over until you generate an open three. And they've been one of the top teams in generating open threes over the past few years. Where Sengun fits into that is really going to be dependent on how he plays on defense, honestly, and what leaps he can take. Because offensively, screening-wise, Sengun is one of the best young screeners in the NBA. So when they do if they set high screens with like Jalen or whoever, even with James Harden, they don't do a lot of like lobs. The Celtics never ran a lot of pick and rolls where they're just like throwing lobs up. It's really set a screen to generate a mismatch that you can attack. And if you have a talented screener, the added dimension that Sengun brings is that he is probably a top 10 short roll passing big in the NBA already. So that's something. Howard Horford is a damn good passer as a big. He's very underrated as a passer on the move. When he gets those kicks, you'll see he'll jump up in the air and do those Russell Westbrook passes too. Sengun can do all that. So that's where his talent as a passer kind of is an added wrinkle to the offense, because he does other things that he can't shoot the three right now. So I know they don't really. It's not like a make or break thing, but I don't think their offense is meant for any individual person to just be the center of the offense. It's honestly a lot of movement. So I'm excited to see what that looks like for our guys, because even though they set screens on the play side, they're also screening on the backside as well to generate threes. So when that initial attack is happening, you're getting a down screen and another or a flare screen, and a guy's opening up for a shot. So to me, those are the type of offenses that usually win at the highest level, because they're so unpredictable and it's really hard to key in. Look how you were pointing out, Austin. The pick and roll, the reason the pick and roll is hard to break down is because it has concepts naturally in it that aren't going to change. Like it's a structure, and you can guess like based on the offensive structure of a pick and roll. Yeah, here's where I'm going to anticipate the kick out is going to be based on where the help is coming from. The offense can play with that. So can the defense. They can anticipate those things. That's how we got killed by the Lakers in a bubble. And the Warriors were able to just force us. And we did the same thing with them to ISOs Because when you start switching those pick and rolls, guess what? Hey, it's gone. Now you have to isolate. And if you don't have dogs on the perimeter to do that work, then you get in a little bit of trouble. Your offense dies. So when you have these motion offenses that are meant on movement, a lot of getting to the paint, driving and kicking, resetting, you can't. There's no defense for that. You're going to play your base defense. It's going to collapse. Then you got to just react. So I think that's an underrated part of Coach Udoka's thing. One thing he said in his press conference is that he is. A lot of people see him as a defensive coach, but he believes that he's well rounded as a coach. Like he sees both sides of the court, and I don't feel he gets enough credit for the offense improvement that the Celtics have shown over the past the season since he's taken over. But yeah, that's a good point. I think Şengün is going to fit into that. I don't think we need ISO God, like, you know what I mean, just dribble out the ball, because like you said, bro, those type, you can't win like that, man. You can't win.
I get that point, but James hasn't played like that in a while. You know what I mean? He hasn't played like that in the last 3 years.
Because he can't. Well, I mean, I'm gonna give you this. In Brooklyn, he should, like, he had two of the best ISO players next to him, in Kyrie and KD. So yeah, he's gonna defer to them. In Philly, he's playing with Joel Embiid, which their pick and roll attack was one of the most efficient and pretty much probably the best pick and roll in the NBA by far for the whole season. Like, they were unstoppable. But the question is, what happened in the playoffs? And I think that's to Austin's point. In a 7-game series, that's not sustainable. And if that is the apex of pick and roll attacks, because I know for a fact James Harden can't ISO 30 times a game anymore. So what does he do? Like, can he play off ball? Is he going to be, like, I'm talking about off ball movement? Is he going to be willing to set a screen for a player? You know what I mean? Is he going to run from sideline to sideline to get a shot? Like, what is he willing to do?
How long have we been saying that?
Right. To not be the center of the universe and not make everybody else a role player. And that's a basketball question. Damn the contracts and everything. What does that look like for our players, for Jalen, for Jabari? Like, I mean, they could have won a championship with Chris Paul, bro. Like, but the dude used to stand at half court. I'm talking about James.
Yeah.
He did that in Philly. So yeah, it's tough. I think.
Well, that's another thing. CP3. I mean, you know, Suns are talking about trading him. I mean, what would we give up from him? I wouldn't give up much for him, but that would also be a good player to get the offense moving and get them some.
Man, I would love that. That's a light contract. Like, I mean, I don't know what they would want, a second round pick, because he's not. I mean, I know a lot of contenders would want him, but I don't think he's coming here because of the whole Tillman thing. Maybe Tillman has said he's a worse contract. Tillman, like, you never burn bridges like that. Just another Tillman moment.
CP3, I think I don't know how many years he got left. I think it's 2 years, $60 million. He's got a really friendly contract, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's a partially guaranteed this coming season, and then the last year, which is going to be the next season after this one coming up, is non-guaranteed. So yeah, it's a very good contract, and you can move off of that. Those are the type of contracts I like. Like, you can trade that, move that, let that expire, and you still get the value of him coming in. We've seen him do it over and over again. I don't think it's a coincidence that OKC is where they are after he stepped foot there, that SGA took such a leap. I don't think Devin Booker's leap is in a vacuum without Chris Paul there. He's the poster child for the type of guy you bring into your franchise. It's not about his play, because he never really was just like scoring 30 points or doing anything amazing. He just brings a certain level of competitiveness and professionalism and work ethic to a franchise, and it just changes the culture. And I mean, I haven't seen James do that, but James is a way more talented player. So that's just like, that's why I said there's a veteran that's good and there's a vet. And I think it's easier for CP to be a vet because, I mean, he's kind of washed as a player at this point in his career compared to James, who, to me, Harden should still try to be winning a ring, bro. Like, I don't get why a player of his caliber would hang him up this early in his prime, or even though he's on his decline. It's just that also makes me beg the question, then, if it's not about basketball, then why the hell would I want to max you out as a player to just come here for whatever other reason and for you to be comfortable? Like, that doesn't make sense to me as a business move for the Rockets.
The only reason I think James would do it is because he knows that that pressure wouldn't be as high. You know, it's a young team. He wouldn't be.
And
He would.
that begs the
Yeah.
question: be like, why would I
I
pay
know.
a
I
guy
feel you.
that's
I feel
that's
you.
scared of the smoke, bro?
I feel you.
Now I know you playing dev like I'm playing devil's like I don't know, man. That's
But man,
I
he
think
could.
about
I
all
mean,
those things, man.
Yeah.
if the Ime would tell him, "Hey, man, we're not playing that ISO. You can be our spot up shooter. All right, that's what it's going to be. You're not running the offense. You don't want to move around and set screens and do all that. You're the spot up shooter then."
James is not even really
Hey, man.
a good spot up shooter.
It's not his strength though. It's a waste
Yeah,
of money.
He's
it's a
not
way.
really.
That would be you wouldn't bring James Harden to be a spot up
He
unless you
literally
paying
just
him like 30
All
mil
right,
a
back to
season.
and I
CP3
think
then.
I'm sorry about it. I mean, I think that's what kind of really messed him up, leaving Houston to begin with, because he had to really like change up his game a lot. Like when he came to Houston, he literally formed the lane in his game to where he can get a rhythm, and then on top of like the league is getting used to kind of him trying to foul bait. Like he even said it like the game before that, like without getting those free throws, it's hard for him to get that rhythm, and I think that's a huge part of what was like him like not being able to play as well is because like when he's able to pat the ball in the perimeter to do that step back, he needs that rhythm to be able to, because that's a difficult shot. The fact that he was able to pull that off a lot of all those years in Houston and be like at least like a 37% shooter at that is crazy. But like being able to not have the opportunity to get the rhythm from the free throw line, and also like not really getting that ability to get that rhythm. It's like, yeah, I don't know. He's not really, like I said earlier, he's not really a rhythm, like a good catch and shoot shooter, anyways, at all, like at all.
Yeah, not in his bag. I don't know. To me, that's a part of his game he could adjust if he really like focused on it. Because a lot of the stuff that we want him to do, he did it early in his career. I think he's just gotten so used to playing the way he's playing now that it's almost
Impossible. I don't
unnatural
think.
for him to go back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
You
don't
know what I
think it's
mean?
possible. Yeah, I don't think it's possible for him because, like, literally, like he can't. I've literally watched a lot of the Philly games. Like, he cannot do the catch and shoot for nothing. Like, it's either
Yeah, he
he's
got to
going
take a dribble.
to he
He
has
gonna
to take
take
a
a
dribble.
wide open catch and shoot and start dribbling into an ISO step
Yeah,
back three.
for a
Just
consistent
his
step back
rhythm. Yeah,
three. Yeah,
that's his rhythm. That's his
yeah,
rhythm.
he
But
needs it. And it sucks that he did that to himself because that's the
Yeah.
downfall of him really being able to be a versatile player. So, but I appreciate you having me, Frank. I appreciate
no,
you,
no,
man.
appreciate you for coming through, bro. But we can start wrapping this up. But just I'm not opposed to him coming back. I just don't want him to get at the max. If I would love a James Harden contract on a 2-year window where we could get the best of both worlds, his elite play and everything, and what I mean, doing all the stuff that he does. Uh, but we don't have to be tied to him when we want to make moves. That's just my point on
Yeah.
it. I'm not like, oh my God, I hate James Harden. I just don't think. I mean, he's burned bridges at multiple franchises, and if he does decide to walk away from Philly, like he can't go back to, he won't be able to go back there. Like those fans are rabid. Brooklyn already hates him. You feel me? He's offended multiple players, great players throughout his deal there, as he's kind of went through the league and been traded so many times and stuff like that. It's just it just doesn't make sense in a vacuum. The only thing I could think of is nostalgia, because if it's just trying to make the playoffs, I don't think he's the only way. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna be mad at anybody that wants him back. To me, just have a basketball reason, and if you can't think of one, then you don't have a good reason for it. If it's about like mentorship, you can get that elsewhere. If it's a basketball, you're telling me, okay, yeah, James is the best player we can get and he can hoop with some of these young guys. We can bring in some vets, and it'll give us a chance to compete right now. Yeah, that's true. My argument is that the best thing for the long term. That's always my thing. Like, we can meet both demands at the same time. But any final thoughts, Austin,
Sure.
before I close this out?
Yeah, I mean, I applaud our management and ownership for getting us to where we are. But the fact of the matter is we are stuck between a rock and a hard place right now, because obviously we want to maintain cap flexibility moving forward. We can't just go, throw the bag at somebody that we think is going to be a good fit. We need a specific type of player right now. And the type of player that we need is the rarest kind of player in the league. It's a pass first point guard. That's what we need, and someone that's willing to move off the ball, especially like Tyrese Halliburton. Like that would be the guy. If I could choose anybody, that's the guy I would want on the team. But he's not available. We kind of fumbled the bag on getting him. So I think it's just tricky and kind of toting the line between like how hard are we going to go in this next season versus just letting our guys develop. I'm with you, Frank, dude. I think that we just need to let our guys develop organically, and we plug the holes where they are, but we don't throw any crazy bag at anybody quite yet. Like you pointed out, the free agency class is much better next year. I think. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to get some of these guys, but I know like Kawhi is available. Paul George, I'm pretty sure as a team or player option next year.
Yeah.
And like some this better guys. Like I think like Fred VanVleet is like Fred VanVleet is like probably the best point guard available right now, and I don't want him. I just don't want him. His shooting splits are terrible. He's a good defender, but he still is undersized, and I think we really just don't know what Ime Udoka wants in terms of offense. Because I think that if I'm thinking like if we're incorporating a Nugget style offense, I think KPJ can still play point guard because he's not going to be dependent on to dribble penetrate every 2 seconds and make the right reads where we can let Sengun, split those responsibilities. Especially if we get like Jayshawn Tate back in the lineup and he's kind of performing the Draymond Green role because he can do that for us. I would love to keep Tate for doing that. But anyways, I don't want to keep rambling on. But I just think that we're in a very tricky spot. We need to be really careful on how we plan to attack the offseason given what happened today. But I do want to say, like, hey, thanks, Frank. Thanks, like, the Rockets community. Thanks, Rockets management, just for getting us through the dark times. We have most flexibility in the league. It's not even fucking close. Oh, sorry, not even close. But it's a good spot where we're at. We just got to be really careful. Let's not just go throw the bag at somebody just because we think they're going to be a good fit. Like I know we're going to have we're not the free agent destination right now. I get that. So let's just take it easy. Let's get our guys to grow, show development. That's what's going to garnish the attention. That's what's going to garnish the free agents to come here next season. So let's keep that flexibility moving forward. That's to our advantage. So I'll just end it with that. But thank you for having me on, Rick. I really appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you, bro. Good points. And real quick for B goes, free agency class, LeBron James, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. This is the one after this year. Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Jamal Murray, Chris Paul, Clint Capella, Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, Lonzo Ball, Bojan Bogdanovic, Tim Hardaway Jr., Evan Fournier, OG Anunoby, Derek White, Jonathan Isaac, Lauri Markkanen, Davis Bertans, KCP, Luke Kennard, Steven Adams, Marvin Bagley, Devontae Graham, PJ Tucker, Terrence Mann, Larry Nance Jr., Alex Caruso, Daniel Tice, Gary Payton II, Kevon Looney, TJ McConnell, Jayshawn Tate, Ricky Rubio, JaVale McGee. Like, bro, just 1 year. I think we can wait. Hold on, I'm getting echo. I think that's B. We can wait 1 year, bro. We can wait one season. We can wait one season. The 25 class is much, much better of a free agency class. And people are like, well, those guys aren't going anywhere. Just y'all see the NBA is so fluid that maybe half of them aren't available, but you never know. You never know. That's why as every year comes out, I want to have maximum flexibility to be able to get. The class after that, which is going to be the second year of James Harden $50 million contract, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Rudy Gobert, SGA, Aiden, Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, De'Aaron Fox, CJ McCollum, Julius Randle, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jalen Brunson, Anthony Simons, John Collins, Terry Rose. Like, come on, bro. Mikal Bridges, Aaron Gordon, Jared Allen, Marcus Smart. Y'all just got to wait. Y'all just have to wait. Like, that flexibility is going to be so crucial to have if you can just temper your expectations for the team for one season and then just play the market. You might just get lucky. The guys might just be that good that they get you there on their own. You know what I mean? So, to me, that's the best of both worlds. Let me see if I can get B back up to get his final words. Okay, B, you echoing, bro. We're gonna have to catch you on the back end. Tuesday, we'll be doing a live draft reaction. I think the lottery thing is on Tuesday, right, Austin? Am I tripping?
Yes, I think it's Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
Okay, I'll be on at 7. Space might be with me if he's back. We'll be doing a live lottery reaction show, so you guys tune in. to see where the fate of the Rockets is going to be going over the next decade, because I think it might be decided depending on who they get. So I'll see y'all boys on Tuesday. Wear your lucky socks, whatever it is, the dirty underwear, sit in the
Pray for
couch,
Victor.
your shirt. Yeah, pray for Victor. Let me do it like our owner does. And we'll see y'all boys on Tuesday, man. Appreciate you, Austin, coming through. Brandon
No problem,
Simpson,
Frank. Thank you, man.
BJ,
Take care.
everybody that contributed. Appreciate you. Also, if you haven't hit the like, Space just said in the chat he'll be there on Tuesday taking care of business. If you haven't hit the like, you're a hater. So hit the like button. You're enjoying our show. You've been on for about an hour. So hit the like button. And Curtis Ho from left field. All right, bro. Let's keep that one in the drafts, brother. But shout out to all the mothers out there, all y'all's wives, girlfriends that they have children, all the women that are mothers in y'all's lives. Y'all, shout out to all of them. Instead of being with them, you guys are here with me watching a live stream on basketball. You all are terrible. If you have a wife or a mother that's a mother in your family, you're here watching. You should spend time with her. Don't be on the chop shop watching us talk about James Harden. You guys are all sickos. But appreciate all y'all, man. CSGs, like Space said, we all we got, man. Y'all tune in Tuesday, and we will be there with you for the Wemby sweepstakes. So shout out to all y'all.